Okay, let's call the September 10th bid board meeting to order. We have a quorum. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the August 6th meeting, and then we'll do one for the August 12th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Uh-oh, my agenda just went. Need a motion to approve the special meeting of August 12th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report by Adam.
Okay. So in your financial report, you will see the revised budget still at $107,259. You have an actual of $62,321.19. Total encumbrances are $15,245.50, and available is the $29,692.31.
We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, boy, we're cruising along here today. Mini golf presentation. If you can just come up to the microphone that we have. Good morning.
There's one document of each of these for you. Probably should have back over.
I'm gonna go in front. It's weird to walk behind you guys.
So, Big Brothers Big Sisters hosted Mini Golf Masters in partnership with you and with the City of West Bend, working with the businesses downtown on August 3rd. After every fundraiser that we do at Big Brothers Big Sisters, we typically kind of go through what succeeded, what didn't succeed. So what you're looking at for that brief is basically one of those documents. Being the first time for this event, I think there was some small hiccups, but overall, I think it set it up to succeed if we decide to go forward and do this in the future. So at the top of that document, you'll see a brief about what specifically that event did, what the goals were. So for Big Brothers Big Sisters, our motivations were to connect with the community and our businesses downtown in a new way, build that community. I got to meet a lot of new business owners that we've been next to for the last 30 years that I'd never met before. And as a nonprofit, businesses are our lifeblood. Not only do they financially allow us to go, but we're invested in human capital for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So that was really, really awesome. It has the potential, I think, to become a better fundraiser. We really didn't take home that much money compared to what we had to spend on staffing and some other resources. But I think we did hit some outcomes. I was hoping for about 50 golfers. We had about 30. At around 1 p.m., the rain came and chased a lot of people away. So most businesses saw anywhere between 15 to 20 golfers. Most did not see all 30. We had 9 businesses sign up and register, including nonprofits. We had 12 mulligans in sales. So what we offered was if somebody bought something at one of the businesses, they were given a free stroke. And we could record those with all of the scorecards that were turned into the Garden Lounge at the end of the day. So we were able to kind of get, I don't know how many dollars that was, not knowing receipts and stuff like that, but that was new business brought into downtown West Bend. Because registration is already put into place, it should be pretty easy to replicate, which would cut down on Big Brothers Big Sisters expense in hosting, in staff hours and stuff. So we netted about $700. So that supports one child for about half of a year. So that helps us out. There was a couple of roadblocks. For us, communication with businesses was difficult. Most of our recruitment and campaigning went from door to door without kind of a stockpile list of email addresses or phone numbers for all of these businesses. Most things had to be searched out. Either by verbal communication or Googling things, which invests more of my staff hours. And so that was something that I think that Adam and I had spoken about briefly at one point, of like a stockpile of all the downtown businesses' email addresses, and it was something that didn't seem very concrete. So I thought that would take down a roadblock in the future. Being weather dependent, that was definitely a roadblock. We had some failures in communications with news outlets that are kind of struggling to stay afloat, so that fell through. Unable to make businesses co-host. So after the event, I reached out to the businesses to say thank you and said, hey, can I get some feedback? And a couple of the businesses said, hey, I would have loved to have been a co-host on the Facebook event. Unfortunately, Facebook, unless you're friends with a specific person, you're not able to add co-hosts. So that's something I would look at as part of just infrastructure, and maybe even in an event like this, talking to downtown businesses and saying, are you on Facebook? Can I friend you? And then when you have larger events like this, you can incorporate the amount of people into that event. So it's not just a share, it's actually an invitation. So I thought that would be a way to reach more people. And then recommendations going forward, I think a committee rather than investing my staff hours would be super helpful, and I think it would engage more businesses than the 9 that we had sign up. With a little bit more heads up, because this event was created later in the year, we weren't able to take out a farmer's market booth. So we were limited to what our city permit allows for us to stand within 4 feet of the sidewalk on the outside of the farmer's market for recruitment. And we did that for 3 Saturdays, and we did get some bodies and some attention that way, but being outside of the farmer's market, that was definitely, I think, a little bit of a roadblock for increasing the amount of activity for this specific event. I think raffle prizes and incentives would also be something super useful and maybe would drum up a little bit more interest. So then you have the budget there, just showing how much the event costs, and a couple photos of what the event looks like. Some of the putt-putt holes, you've got Laughing Mountain there, and on the back, there's a couple more. We also had a couple businesses that, because, so for restaurants, it was difficult specifically to set up a hole. They don't have staff hours of people just hanging around their business. When they're open, their staff are serving. So that definitely was something that was a little bit tough for restaurants that wanted to engage. Second, I would also say there was a little bit of a communication breakdown sometimes between owners and part-time employees. So we did have one business that never built a hole because the owner didn't tell the employee that was there that day what the event really was. And so that was just running around scrambling, finding a bunch of stuff in our basement and building a hole literally 20 minutes before the event started. And I think that's just a side effect of what small businesses are like. I think it's tough and you're limited to the staff on hand. And the resources you have on hand with tighter margins as well. So that would be, I think, something that going forward too, I think maybe like a collaborative meeting with all the businesses that do sign up might, break down some of those barriers as well. You also have what the course map looked like. And so that was the one piece of marketing I don't think that this team has seen. So unless you were there that day.
Well, I will say that we had a lot of fun. You're right, we saw about 15 people come through the door. But the 15 people that came through were having a lot of fun doing it. It started out brutally hot and then it turned to brutal rain, which was unfortunate. But I thought it was a great event. We learned something very interesting. We're trying to figure out how we're going to put a putting green in our store. Because we had it set up the Tuesday before because we weren't sure what we were going to do. And it was amazing to us how many husband and wives came shopping and the husbands decided to golf. So we're trying to figure out how we can make that happen, and so that was a great event.
I wouldn't be too discouraged. I mean, any first event, I mean, that's what you have to learn, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, so now it's like, you did it, so now you can only get better at it. Yeah, don't give up on it. Keep
I haven't
going.
given up. I think
Okay.
it's just one of those things. I think the rain defeated us.
Yeah.
I mean, it came down hard too. It wasn't like a sprinkling.
Yeah.
So I think we got kind of beat by the rain because the feedback on Facebook, for instance, our Bowl for Kids event brings in about 360 people every February throughout the whole county. We usually on the Facebook event only get like 15 people that RSVP. For this event, we had 75 people RSVP, and we anticipated maybe 30 to 50. So I think there was a lot of, I think the awareness actually was okay. I think it was, we got defeated by the weather.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
support. We appreciate it. Like I said, it costs about $1,500 to support one youth for the entire year, so I appreciate you helping make that happen. So, thank you.
So next topic is holiday decorations and decision. Before we have our presentation, I want to give a little backstory of what's going on. As you all know, I've been really wanting desperately to get a large Christmas tree downtown. And I have contacted and been in constant communication with several individuals who want to be nameless at this point. They want to find out where the bid's at with some things, who are very, very, very interested in sponsoring basically everything that you're going to see except for the light poles, which is about $75,000 worth of decorations downtown. And the concept is to do the entire Settlers Park into a really cool Christmas theme. And I guess with that, Adam, if you want to add anything, or Jay, you were part of all these meetings as well. I think we should see the presentation of what everybody's thinking about, and then that will give everybody an idea of kind of where we can go with the bid. And then after we see that, I can explain kind of what the people who want to put the money up front are hoping that the bid can do to participate in part of this and make it just a huge downtown holiday
Will it affect the
display.
nativity?
It will affect the nativity, but let's stall that until you see the presentation so you can see exactly what they're proposing and what they want to do.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. So I don't know how you're hooked up here, Adam. Do you want to maybe lower that mic, or if you can work off of the screen behind you, whatever you want to do.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Yulia Wolf. I'm the Holiday Decor Manager at David J. Frank Landscaping, and I'm just going to go through what we have presented thus far and what we think would look really cool at Old Settlers Park. So we have determined a location for a Christmas tree. That location would be right at the corner where the yellow dot is on the screen behind you. I don't know if you can see. There you go.
Yep.
You're up ahead of me. Okay. So that yellow dot right there represents exactly the amount of space that a 26-foot tall tree would take up. It has about a 14-foot diameter at the base. It is an artificial Christmas tree that is pre-lit with warm white LED lights, and it is a tower tree. So we literally build it just like a tower. Each slice of it is a little smaller until you get all the way to the top. So the tree placement would be right at that place. There would be a little fence around it just to make sure that nobody comes next to it. We've done these trees before. We don't want anybody walking directly up to them and messing with anything on it. The lighting on it is complicated if anything gets unplugged or cut or anything like that. We prefer to keep that completely separated so people can't walk directly up to it. They can walk right up to it, take photos in front of it. It's a great photo opportunity for families during the holidays. We constantly have people Christmas cards coming in, and we can see some of our trees in the background, which is pretty cool. So people take a lot of pride when there is a large tree within their community. Adam, if you can progress. So this is what the tower trees look like. So this is a few shots of them. We would be obviously using the warm white lights on the tree as opposed to cool white or multicolor. The warm white just gives it a very nice traditional Christmas feel and allows us to decorate the tree appropriately as well. The light on it is just a warm, welcoming feeling, and we can decorate it to match that. So you can see that it's got a very conical shape there, and again, 24 feet, in height. This right here is the exact tree that we are proposing to use. This is at the Fiserv Forum downtown. This was installed last year and will be installed again this season as well. So you can sort of see there's some little kids right in the background, so there's little elves that were there singing, so you can see the proportion of the tree. So it is quite massive. Definitely when you're walking up to it, it is quite stunning. A tree lighting ceremony is definitely very cool. The tree was completely unlit until the tree lighting ceremony, and when it lights up, it's really, really festive. At the Fiserv Forum, they decided to use this metal guardrail. We would propose to do something that's a little bit more appealing to the eye instead of just the metal around it like that. The tree does have to be supported by cables, so although the base of the tree is 14 feet and it is pretty stable, just as a precaution as a company, we do not install anything over 15 feet without having cables supporting the tree from falling from wind or anything like that. So there's 4 guide wires. You can see sort of one of them coming at you on the right side there. So they do have to be anchored into structural elements around the tree. So the 24-foot tree downtown would have to be anchored to the roof lines of the buildings around it, which we would also take care of. So the next thing that we are proposing, so the big tree would be over to the right where you saw that yellow dot. This yellow dot represents a sleigh scene that we would put together under the pergola. So what we are proposing to do is to have the sleigh that's right in the lower left-hand corner there is the actual sleigh that I bid. It's a 60-inch sleigh. It does fit 2 people if anybody wanted to sit in it, but we're not proposing to do that. What we want to do is we want to create a giant scene under there with lit presents. So the mesh presents that you see on the upper left-hand side, those are just wire mesh boxes. We put waterproof battery-operated lights on the inside so they light up at night. And then during the day, obviously, they sparkle and they glitter, and they're really nice and appealing to the eye. On the right-hand side, you can sort of see a mini version of what we're proposing. So to do a scene like that, there'd be like fake snow around it. We'd do a little fence around it, so we'd really make it a sleigh scene with presents in it. In the past, when we have done this with our clients, what they do is they actually do a toy drive then. So we're proposing that it would be really cool, a really cool idea for you guys to actually use this as a publicity event and do your own toy drive in the city. I think it would bring in a lot of people. The clients that we've done this with get sponsors from all different types of businesses to donate everything, and at the end of the day, there's like, I don't know, 6-7 sleighs full of presents. So, and all that stuff gets donated to a charity of the choosing. So whatever you guys would want. So on top of those 2 scenes, so you've got the tree, we'd have the sleigh scene. Then in the planting beds that are outlined here in yellow, we are proposing to do 2 things. There's going to be lit balls and ornaments. So if you want to progress, thank you. So these are the lit balls that we are proposing to put into the planting beds. What we have to keep in mind is you want appeal during the day and also at night. With holiday decorations, it's hard to do both. Because a lot of times your holiday lights are your pop, but you only see that at night. So if you want people coming into the city of West Bend, not only at night but during the day, the tree in itself, when it's not lit, it looks fantastic because we're going to decorate it. The sleigh scene speaks for itself during the day. It's going to be a scene. It's beautiful. It's nice to look at. These lit balls would bring the attention in at night so that when you're driving up to the park, all you see are these giant lit balls. It's up to you guys whether they'd be multicolored or just single colored. They'd be of varying sizes, and they'd be placed within the planting beds so that, you know, it would look uniform and unique when they light up at night. So this is another image of what they look like at night. I'm also proposing to light some of the trees in the planting beds, so this just gives you an idea of what it looks like when the trees are lit, along with the lit balls underneath them. And then during the day, obviously, you're not going to see those lit balls, the lit trees, that is sort of lost during the day. So during the day, what we're proposing to do is within the planting beds, we are actually going to be putting clusters of ornaments, such as this photo that you guys can see here. So we'll have ornaments of different shapes, sizes, colors, again, sticking with a certain color scheme of your choosing. And we will put the ornaments within all the planting beds and then sprinkle the lit balls in at night. So during the day, you're going to have your pop by seeing all these ornaments in the planting beds. And then at night, the lights will pop on with the lit balls, so you'll be able to see both of them at night. 5 lit trees as well. So the proposal is there's a crab tree right in that corner all the way on the right. There's 3 trees in the planting bed along the walkway leading to the pergola, and then one behind the pergola. We're proposing to light those trees fully and then also put glowing balls within there. So to stick with the glowing ball theme and carry that from the planting beds up into the trees. So you would have your glowing lit balls within the planting beds, and then within the trees they'll be lit, and they'll also have the big LED warm white lit balls in those as well. And then with the pergola itself, obviously you've got the sleigh scene available full time, and then what we're suggesting is to put garland around the edge right under the roof line of the pergola. So there would be lit garland that goes all the way around, and we would decorate that lightly as well. And then what we call supernova lights, which is what you can see on the left side there, they are programmable LED lights that look just like they are there, so they're long and skinny, and we propose to connect those to the poles of the pergola and then program them. There's 6 different programs. You can leave them on full time if you want. I'm proposing to actually make them twinkle so that at night it looks like it's snowing around the pergola. And then last but not least, the light poles throughout downtown. So there's 150 light poles that you guys currently have. In the past, there have been sprays on them with bows. What I'm proposing is to do garland wrapped around the poles instead, with 2 big red bows on either side. In the proposal, there's actually 4 options for this. The very first option in the proposal is for us to do absolutely everything involved with making it look like this. So we provide the artificial pre-lit garland. We provide all of the bows. We provide decor to lightly decorate all of the garland, and then we do the labor to install and remove all 150 poles. That is like the go all in option. The second option is for us to do everything, but not to decorate any of the garland. So we would provide the garland, we would provide the bows, we would do the install and removal, but we would not be decorating any of the garland. So this photo right here is of undecorated garland. So still during the day without the decor, you still have, I mean, it looks completely green all the way down the street. So instead of just having a spray up at the top with green and then you can still see the bare light pole, you'd be able to see the green garland all the way down the pole, and it would bring your eye level down to where people are normally looking, and it would look nice and green. The third option is for us to do no labor whatsoever and just drop all the materials off, and the labor would be done by somebody else. So we would drop off the garland, the decor, as well as the bows. And then the very last option, the proposal, is to just supply you guys with just the garland and the bows and no decor whatsoever, and for us not to do any of the labor. So we've provided you with 4 options depending on budget for that purpose.
So when you say decor, what are you thinking in the
So
garland?
within the garland, just some light, like ornaments, small ornaments throughout, and some sprays here and there. So just some like glittery, you know, they're like glitter branches and red berries, stuff like that. So just something that's super, super simple. You don't want to like heavily decorate it just because of obviously the weather factor. Anything that gets decorated outside has to be pretty stuck onto the garland to make sure nothing blows away or gets damaged.
What other cities have you done?
So we do whole cities. We have not done a whole city. We used to do all of Bayshore Town Center, the mall, the big mall down there. So we still do all of Bayshore Town Center there. So we put up a 36-foot live tree there. Outside, we light all I think it's 300 plus trees all the way around the entire mall. We also do winter bouquets throughout the entire property as well. We have done Mayfair Mall in the past as well, so all the decorations inside and everything that was outside at Mayfair Mall. That included a whole Santa setup. There was like giant light curtains from the ceiling all along Mayfair. There were giant blow-up ornaments that were enormous that were all from the ceiling at Mayfair Mall as well. So we did all of that. We do a 36-foot live tree inside at the Milwaukee Center downtown. So that it's 4,000 pounds, and it takes literally the entire holiday decor team of 40 people to get the tree up and standing. That is a very giant job that we have done in the past. Fiserv Forum, we use the same exact tree that we're proposing to use here. So we have done a lot of very, very large scale jobs.
How long have you been doing this?
I have been with the company for 4 years and managing for 3.
And where do you store all this?
We have a storage facility currently in Glendale, Wisconsin. It's a very giant warehouse that we store everything in. We decorate everything in. So that's where everything gets
I
stored.
noticed there was in this proposal, someplace I read it, that there was a storage charge or something.
Yep, yeah, so if you guys cannot store all of the decorations, then we take them and we store them for you, and we charge for that.
How much do you charge for that?
It depends on the square footage, so I can't tell you that number offhand, not knowing what you guys are going to be buying.
So you pay for all this stuff, and then afterwards you take it down and you store it for us, and we can reuse it again the next year.
Absolutely, so the prices that you guys see here are for you guys to purchase everything, and then the following year, all you're paying for is the labor to install and remove all the decorations. And then if there's anything that gets damaged or other unforeseen charges, then obviously that would be a separate proposal in itself for the following year.
You saying your theme every year is different or same?
Depends on the client. You guys can choose what you want to do.
Does Elton John come and perform while we're putting this on?
Wish. No.
Why Elton John?
Yeah.
So is the charge that you've got in here the second year, the charge is the same? I noticed in some places it's reduced or something.
No, not reduced. Everything is priced according to what we would be doing this year. I can give an estimate for what the labor would be like. I don't have that with me here, but it really depends on how it goes this year. There's factors that are unforeseen and that we can't just, we can give a good idea of how much it would cost for the following year, but we wouldn't be able to give you a spot on proposal for the following year. What we do is we use the hours report that we get from our crews this year, and then we use that number to present a proposal for the following year. So, I mean, this is a 26-foot tree. We don't know where we're anchoring into. There's all sorts of factors that we can give a good estimate on how many hours it would take for the following year, but nothing specific until after we do the installation this year.
Well, that's really what we're gonna need, because if you're saying that we've got somebody that's gonna cover the upfront cost, or mostly, or whatever, the important thing to us is the bid, is the ongoing maintenance costs. So
Yeah.
we need to see that number, because that's really what, I would assume that's really what we're concerned about.
So one of the numbers that was floated around was around 20 to 25,000
Per year.
and it depended upon
Yeah,
how much. That's them doing everything.
Yeah.
And storage, correct? If we and Jay thought that there was a possibility the city had places to store this, and then depending upon how much. Doug is smiling over there. How much Public Works can do. And then there's also been a conversation that was briefly started yesterday about a group of individuals volunteering to come forward to do this, to help put it up. But there hasn't been any in-depth conversation about that at this point. And so I would say the worst case scenario is you're looking 25,000 for next year as an investment into keeping it going. So if you'll think about it from that perspective.
what's the ballpark right now? What does it cost, like, for Doug and storage.
I think
and
we're
all that,
paying like
yeah, but-
$1,500 or $2,000 or something like that.
It's about $1,100 up and $1,100 take down. No storage fee.
So the upfront, so where we're at right now is everything except for the light poles. And there's still some discussion that's going on. But they wanted to see where the bid was at, or the thoughts of the bid. Everything in Settlers Park would be covered. It's the light poles that is still in question. What we would do, we leave the sprays exactly as they are. I can tell you that the individuals coming up front with Settlers Park would like to see at least this, what they call the central core, which is around Settlers Park, to at least have those light poles redone with the garland. I don't think, well, I guess we could, but there's literally no way that we could afford to do every there's 150 light poles that we have sprays on. So there's no way we could do all 150 light poles the first year, unless we did the 187 version. And even that, I think, would really be stretching the
You
budget.
could like do every other one or something like that.
Yeah, you could, and then we could, and then fill in the future.
Didn't we discuss this a year or two ago about garland on the poles, and for some reason it seemed that it wasn't appropriate? I don't.
I think we were
They painted them, they were concerned that they were going to scratch the paint on the poles with wrapping them.
That was?
Okay. I don't know what, they're being done all over the place. I don't know. I know that was a conversation, but
And there's different grades of garland. There's absolutely garland that you can buy that will scratch anything and everything it touches. I specifically purchase higher end product. I don't invest anything in a lower end product. All the garland that we get, is there a possibility that it could scratch you if you stand there and like rub it up against the pole and really do some damage? But this isn't the type of artificial garland that we use is not something that you would find at Menards or Home Depot or anything like that. It's a higher grade of garland now. So it is much better made, and the wire is not as exposed.
I am very against moving the nativity. I'm very against it. Thrivent went out of their way to buy a brand new, beautiful nativity set for under the pergola. It's very impressive. They spent a lot of time and energy and supported a new nativity set, and I don't understand why we couldn't put the sleigh set in the pocket park and leave the nativity where it's at. It's a beautiful sleigh, but this has been a community that has supported the nativity set for generations, and I think it's a very nice added addition to the downtown, especially at Christmas time. And I think the sleigh would look absolutely beautiful in the pocket park coming up. And a lot of these balls we're talking about, we've already decided to support MOA with their balls, and they've agreed to have some of them come into the downtown and try to get them across to get people from MOA over. So there's something else that I think that as lovely as this presentation is, we're not the Pfizer Forum. We still have half the downtown out of lights on top of their building, and we're looking at spending this kind of money for a 6-week period of time. So I'm just asking us to be reasonable and look at all the options.
so I don't know if I know you're talking about not moving it. They have an option that somebody has volunteered to take it and put it on private property as opposed to public property. That's one of the concerns. And Westbury Bank has agreed to put it as what they call the entrance to the downtown and put it on their property right on the corner. So it will be in a very prominent location as an option to where it is currently located.
Well, I'll give you credit.
So-
You've covered your basis. I wish that we would have known a little bit of this information before this. Now, all of a sudden, the nativity's being moved so we can get a sleigh in there and nobody else knows about it. I mean, I don't know. Nobody at the downtown knew about that. Jeannie, did you know about that? Gina? No.
I think there was a conversation that was had, and I'll let Adam address that. There was a conversation held with somebody from downtown about this.
You're talking about the possibility of the activities being
about the possibility.
Well, isn't that what we're doing here right now? I mean, we're talking about it, so there's no decision needs to be made today, right?
No, I think it does.
Yeah, it does have to be made today.
Oh, really?
Because of the timing of the being able to order the materials.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, the exact location, no, I mean, we can talk to the individuals that are involved in all of this and see what their thought process is. But I can tell you that there has been some concern by citizens of the whole, and I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, but there has been concern of having a nativity scene on public property. And so this was kind of a way to address that as well. You know, I'm just throwing it out there. We talked about a tree and we talked about it, and so I think we've made some major strides in headway, and if we can get this kind of money, I think it would be amazing to have it downtown.
Can we move forward in ordering all of the, moving forward with the proposal and having a discussion on
Absolutely.
placement?
Absolutely, we can.
Following this.
Yeah, I mean, once we can bring everybody to the table, which we will be able to,
Right.
depending upon what the bid does today, then they're willing to come forward. They want to see what the bid's move is and how committed the bid is to doing it. And then if everything, you know, and we decide we want to be a part of all of this and we definitely want to do it, then yeah, there's absolutely no reason we can't all come to the table and have a discussion.
I
Do
take
they
it-
incorporate that nativity set with that? Decorations on the old settlers?
They would, you know, up to this point, the discussion was to move it over to Westbury. And there has been a conversation with Westbury that they have agreed to have it on their property at the entrance of Main Street.
They being who at
Westbury,
Westbury?
Kirk Emmerich.
And you've talked to the property owner that this cable is gonna go into and they've agreed?
No, we have to, this is all stuff that still has to be done at this point.
So what if we agree to it and the building owner says, no, I'm not letting you put a cable in my thing to hold up your 24-foot tree?
We'll figure out some way to anchor it. I mean, there's other options. I mean, if you put this in the middle of a big, you know, look at Enchantment. They don't have any, they have anchors on that and they're going into the ground. So, you know, there's alternatives to how we can anchor it.
City Lane, I would hope City Lane could work.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can make it work without going into buildings.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different options. The way that we've just done it is guide wires up ahead so that you don't see anything and don't make, that way we don't disturb anything. But, I mean, the anchors that go into the roof lines, I mean, you can't even, they're tiny little set, you know, they're set screws. It's not like it's
But if they
anything
can't,
major.
if we have building owners that say no, then we just come up with an alternative to go into the
'Cause they're-
into the ground.
Am I correct in assuming we're gonna vote on this today?
Yes. What we're voting on is what we're gonna do with the light poles. And in spirit, we agree with what they wanna present, or what they wanna buy, and then we
Well,
go from there.
personally, I don't think there's any problem with just replacing the bows on the sprays, and if you wanna do some of the light poles in that immediate vicinity, I don't see a problem with that, but I don't think every other pole is gonna make much of an impact.
But yeah, aren't the sprays still in good condition? I know the bows are faded.
The bows definitely need to be replaced. You know, I think everybody wanted to make, the thought process was to make more of an impact, but if you don't want to do the sprays, I mean, if you don't want to do the light poles,
I actually like the light poles myself.
to wrap the light poles?
Yes, and the sprays are nice. Unfortunately, I think they have the cool lights too, don't they?
Yeah, that was
Which
discussed,
I'm
that they have a
not- to
different,
me, yeah,
a different color.
That was a mistake. Yeah.
and there's also, just to make a point that when people are walking through, like even in this photo, when you're looking at the light poles and you're looking at downtown, right now your eye is drawn completely up. The sprays are up in the air. So when people are walking at street level and they're going into all these shops and everything like that, they're really missing everything that's above their head. It's just human nature. Just notice next time you're walking around, how much stuff do you notice that's above your eye level? Not much. Do you notice the sprays when you're like driving into downtown and you can see all the like lit dots down the street? Yes. What this does is that it brings down the green and the Christmas to everybody's eye level and all the way down. So these go all the way from the top all the way down, and when you're walking, you've got something that's illuminated and that's green right at your eye level and right next to you, so it gives you a little bit of a warmer feel than something that's all the way up in the air.
How are they attached to the pole?
They're attached with zip ties at the bottom and at the top. They wrap around. We use specific heavy duty zip ties that are UV resistant and weather resistant.
We just had the poles painted a couple of years ago. Is this going to do anything to the paint on the scratching?
Shut up.
Might be my financial background, but I gotta dial in on some of the numbers. Because we would have to decide a couple $100 a piece roughly for light poles, which is 30 grand. That's not included with this generous gift. Plus a subsequent year, the rest of this is all including installation year one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Year one is an installation and installation and removal is all included with that, plus the purchase of material.
Okay. The terms and conditions page refers to back storage charges if you aren't hired for subsequent year install. So I'm assuming then it's included. There is no cost for storage. You'll store it if we hire you?
We'll store it. If you want us to store anything, we'll store it. The storage is included. If you go with the items that are within there, the storage is included with that price.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Going forward, if you're hired each year or just in the first year?
Each year you'll be charged for storage.
Okay. We just don't know what that is.
Correct. It depends on what you go with. So we charge on square footage. Well, on cubic footage,
I got
really.
that. I just wondered if you had even a ballpark idea. Are we talking 3 grand or 20 grand?
Well, I can't tell you that off the top of my head.
Not even a wild guess from your experience.
If you go with all of it, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000 that you're looking at. Yeah,
range.
Ballpark. If you go with all of it, the tree itself takes up a heck of a lot of space.
Sure.
So.
Is that realistic that could be stored by West Bend? You're coming?
He knew that was coming.
Right.
Yes, it's fair that it can be stored in West Bend without cost in the bid. Doug and I were just discussing that briefly. I think we can put it up as well. It's been fun in the past for staff and the bid downtown.
But not the, you mean the light poles?
No, I mean those things, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the big stuff, not the light, not all the decorations she's talking about in Old Settlers Park, but what we used to do with the sprays, I'm confident that between our staff and volunteers, we'd have to work hard to get volunteers again, but it's been successful in the past to put that stuff up, and we can store it as well. The city can store it. Doug's been very resourceful, and I've told some of you this, but spray painting the sprays and the bows literally over the year to make them red again instead of pink. And I understand that it might be time to move on from that, but we've done a lot with very little investment, and this might just be time to, it's up to you, but time to move on. I know that the city, between the sewer department, parks department, and public works, we have plenty of space that we can store this.
Cool.
So you shouldn't have to pay for that.
Just a question on the, like you had said, 20 to 25 a year. So that was including using them for storage or the city for storage?
I think that was including storage, right?
It's going to depend. It's going to depend on what we go with. I did not include a storage fee within that.
Within that 20 to 25 range?
Correct.
So
it's included within the proposal in front of you. It's not, I don't have, I'm just giving ballpark numbers for next year. That's just the labor, not the storage.
And the labor was not including the light poles?
The light poles are their own separate item.
Separate.
Right.
Yep.
I'm just looking at the pure cost of
The
them.
labor would be just for Settlers Park.
Right. So we got to buy the garland plus hopefully take advantage of storage from the graciousness of the city and hopefully installations. We're really looking at the cost of that plus the ongoing install, which is
20 to 25,000.
if that's including storage or not. That's the 3 grand swing.
Well, that's where you get the 20 to 25, or it could be 17 to
Okay,
22.
got it.
And I also think some of this stuff, you know, it's not real difficult to put up. You could probably, you know, we could probably put the sleigh in place. We still would have to put the reindeer someplace. That hasn't been figured out yet.
Would they have to move it all, actually? I mean, like what's in the park next to?
Well, the ones that were in the ones that were in Settlers Park would have to move, but all the rest could stay throughout the community, and we could
Right.
have our little
How many
deer
were in
farm.
Settlers Park? Do you remember the number of deer? You wanna know?
I don't know what was in there.
I think 8 or 10, somewhere there.
Who's in that particular park?
Were there any in Vest Park, in the Pocket Park?
Yeah, there were probably half a dozen down there.
And just so those got reused, because they really would look cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, the plan is not to, the only thought that I had was to replace the light poles, but everything, you know, the nativity would get used in another location, the deer would get used in the same location, plus what we take out of Settlers Park and put those in another location.
Has this group proposed to be involved in subsequent year cost or just the upfront cost?
It's kind of gone both ways.
I mean, $20,000 for every single year for storage, and our budget is, it seems kind of senseless to guarantee that kind of money when that could be going towards so many other things instead of storage. It's a high
Well,
percentage.
It's not
it's
storage.
install, it's labor.
The
for
city's gonna
install.
take care of the
You heard the
storage.
storage is $2 to $3 grand,
Yeah.
and maybe the city
That's
will
the
take care
install
of
and
it.
removal of
20
everything.
It's gonna cost $20,000 for them to come and put it up and take down.
Right. So it's
Every
primarily
year.
for labor.
I'm not sure how this works, and I don't ask a question.
Yeah, if you want to come to the microphone, you can.
Just something that I'm thinking of right now, and I think that your presentation is awesome. My name is Heather Moore from Everything Artistic. It looks like we're purchasing a Mercedes without even looking at Chevys and Fords. Like Cedarburg, who's assembled all of their trade. It looks beautiful down there. So I don't know if there's something, have we shopped around, have we looked? That's a lot of money. Christmas time is a lot of need. So that's just my thought. Thanks.
Actually, we had one other proposal, and it was far more than this.
From a city or town or something like Pfizer down in Milwaukee?
No, they do cities and towns. Adam, you could, actually, Brian met with them. And I don't know what Brian met with them, and the numbers were just extreme.
And I don't know
So-
the price, I don't know how much something like this costs, but just as hearing it just out of the blue, seems like a lot of money for the first year, set it up and all that, I don't know.
So I guess, you know, the question is what do we want to do with the light poles? And then, you know, where do we want to go with the future? You know, we can talk to them and see if maybe they would share the cost of future installation. I don't know that answer.
Obviously. we
My
could
guess is,
approach
I
sponsors
think
if-
we probably could, but I think we could get sponsors as well. The other thought with this is the amount of people that are coming into Enchantment, which is huge. I think this is just going to enhance that and bring people that would be coming in for Enchantment would also be coming down to the downtown area, which would, you know, get people into the businesses and do other things. Because it's going to be, if we do it, it'll be a super impressive display, and I don't think there's anything around here that would be like it. You know, maybe rival Candy Cane Lane, I don't know. But look at how much play that place gets and the amount of people that come into it.
That's what intrigues me the most, is the foot traffic and the.
And then if we get a nonprofit, you know, the Downtown Association or, you know, the BID, or I was even talking about, you know, the FOP, which is the Fraternal Order of Police, they do the Shop with a Cop. If maybe we, you know, they could get them to do something and do the toy drive with it. I know we have the gingerbread house, but I understand there's some turmoil going on with that. You know, there's a definitive need in the community for this. So I think if there's a way that we can tie this all together with some kind of a charity event for a toy drive, I just think it's a huge bonus.
just back to the install cost, so once you do this year, first year, you'd be able to have a time and material estimate for
Yeah,
subsequent years.
correct.
Do you do that by contract, that you lock in pricing, or is it just, well, it could cost more next year because we,
Usually
time.
we just go based off of last year's numbers. The amount of times that we've installed trees like this, every year we do it, we get faster and faster at it. So, you know, the cost definitely decreases, in subsequent years. So, you know, this is our first go around. We definitely know that, hey, like, you know, I can't charge you guys for the fact that this is gonna be our first go around, and it's gonna take a lot longer probably to install than what we would typically do. So, you know, I don't charge you guys for that stuff. I'm looking at, okay, if we were to walk up and we were professionals and we knew exactly what to do with this tree and exactly where the guide wires go and exactly how long the guide wires need to be if everything was like perfect, you know, that's how I'm coming at the proposal that's in front of you. So, you know, up front, we eat some of that labor cost just to make sure that we know what we're doing and we do it right and everything's installed perfectly. And in the following years, you know, we already know what we're doing once. Next year when we roll up, it's gonna take way less time than it would normally take, that it's gonna take us this year to do it. So we, you know, I don't say, oh, okay, I know this year it took us this much time. It's not, I don't go based on that first year number. There's always a little bit of a struggle the first year, if you will.
your proposal references a lift that's not included. Is that in
Correct.
your 20 to 25 number though,
Yep.
the lift, okay.
Yep.
Plus the labor for anchoring and all that
Yep.
stuff.
Yep, but it's just an all-encompassing moving forward, just to get everything up and everything down.
I make a motion that we go ahead and try this with the poles.
How many, we need a dollar amount. How many poles do you want to do? All 150?
Well, wait, is the bid paying for the light poles or
The
light
bid
poles
would be
or-
paying for the light poles.
And everything else is being paid for by this
Group.
group of wealthy individuals?
I mean, if we don't like it, we don't do it next year.
Mhm.
The only way to find out is how it's gonna look.
It's 28 grand just for.
Well, if we buy, yeah, we've got them whether we like it or not.
Right.
Or if we do it now, then we own this stuff. So if we don't like it, then,
Yeah.
And the difference, excuse me, the difference is some of them come lit, some of them come with
So
bells
the,
and whistles.
the
and some-
the difference between, the four is whether we install it or not,
Mhm.
and whether we decorate it or not.
Do they all come with lights on them?
Yes.
They all have lights on them?
Yes.
Just some have.
Some we just
Ornaments
put,
and
yeah,
stuff
and
like
that's something that we do, yeah. So if we provide the decor for somebody to put up, that's one option, or if we do it, then we'll decorate it as we put it up. So everything gets decorated as it's put up. Garland doesn't get it, once we wrap it, then we decorate it.
So if we did, I'm just throwing a number, I would propose that you do alternate 3, where we put it all up. And I will go on a limb here and assume that you would maybe help get the first couple up so that we
Yeah.
know what we are doing,
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
so that it looks
I mean, I'll
okay.
be on site, yeah.
And do, I don't know how many we do.
Couple
That's
of-
10 grand, you're talking a third of this?
I don't know, I'm saying,
Do we know how many poles are around the park itself? Because that makes sense to have that fully.
Yeah, I don't know if I counted how many.
we just know there's
1,
150
2, 3,
total.
4, 5,
It's not that many.
6 at least.
Because you could certainly do every pole there and then every other pole down.
What if we did 100 poles? Or every other pole, that would be 75.
It's 18 grand for 100 poles. So we're looking at.
Rough, well, it'd be,
20 grand, call it.
say 20 grand. 187 times 100, so, yeah, 18.7.
Just a question on the current sprays. Do we know how much life is left in those without future green paint? Are they pretty much done?
Has anybody talked to?
I'm sorry, Herb, I just did ask the question. I was hoping to get an answer.
The sprays themselves are in pretty good shape, it's just the bows get faded from the sun.
So the
actual
sprays are in good shape.
part is good condition.
So if we did 100 poles, and then we did 50 sprays, you could come up with 50 good sprays that are left to intermix.
And you're mixing lights.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, one colored lights. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you know what the museum, art museum is gonna be doing? They're doing something, I don't know what it is. Are you doing it?
No, the museum has their own staff that does that.
They're
Yep.
doing big balls that we
Yeah,
bought
big
for them.
lip balls.
I thought that with that trees, they were gonna light something up with those trees.
I don't know about that. I don't know, I thought I saw you back there someplace hiding behind a,
Oh, we're planning to
do you wanna, can you come up to the mic for Patrick's purposes, please?
Do not have a proposal. We do have large globe, like spheres that are going to go into our, in the gardens, and then also in the large containers that will be out front. So we're going to be renting a few during the week of Bloomin' Holidays, and we're also going to be purchasing a few that will go up for throughout the holiday season. And then I think 3 are planned to go up the Pocket Park area to, you know, further connect MOA and downtown. And then during the week of Bloomin' Holidays, that first November 6th through 10th time frame, we'll have video projection on the exterior of the museum as well. Right now, we're not planning to like light trees with other twinkle lights or anything. We're more going for like the big glow balls.
You need some gear for your woods?
I cannot
And then we can bring the
comment on
sharpshooters
deer.
in. So going with that also, the thought process behind this would to have this all up and ready for Bloomin' Holidays.
So
So,
what would be really, this is just a thought, with the Museum of Wisconsin Art doing stuff over there, the area where the bridge is going across, to light up that area in there, and bridge would really be nice.
so there,
That'd really attract people.
yeah, there was some conversation of that as well, and it was kind of thought of, let's do this, and then once the west side of the river is done, then something's gonna have to be done along there, or the bridge is coming across, so it was like, let's do this year 1, and then let's start looking down the road for future stuff to tie both sides together.
So Herb, you made a motion. Could you repeat that? What was your motion?
To make, to do the garland on the post.
On
Did
all
you
of them?
select? I'm sorry.
Right.
Go ahead. Okay.
And, I don't know, what's the feeling on the poles?
Well, I think
You need the bows.
Complete them. Complete them, just a matter of
So are
how
you
many.
saying you're saying do 150, your proposal is to do all 150,
Right.
which would be,
28 grand.
yeah, $28,000.
Install.
No,
No.
that's not
Oh,
installed.
okay,
We got the money.
So we have a motion, we need a second.
Did your motion also include to support install costs going forward?
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. I will second your motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I don't know if I'd do 150.
Me neither.
I think that's an exorbitant expense. I could see a portion of that. I don't know how you distribute it, but it's,
Then you start stepping on people's feelings too on Sixth Avenue because you start picking and choosing where you
What-
put decorations and I can tell you that there's some little shops that will have their feelings hurt on Sixth Avenue.
what if we did everything around the park with a garland, which would maybe be 20, 25, and then used our sprays and new bows for the rest of the town, and if we gotta buy some more next year to fill it in, we can do that.
Well, the problem is you got different colored lights.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's talking about, is those are the bluish lights. I don't know what they're called,
They're
but,
cool white, yeah, the sprays are cool white.
and we're gonna go with the same color, the colors that's on the top of the buildings.
Is there any movement in there if we do all that? Can you do a little bit better on the price?
This is the best that I'm giving you guys. We went over this proposal as a management team for a company. It's not just me that sat
I
down and
mean,
did all
you
this.
gotta have a little Christmas spirit.
You should see me during the holiday season. I'm the only one that has Christmas spirit at that point. I'm running around and my guys are looking at me like I'm a Looney Tune.
You should give a present to us.
work with.
So, any further discussion?
Your terms and conditions suggested 50% down. Is it 50% off?
Ha. Good one.
The answer is no unless you ask.
So, in the interest of time here, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Not opposed. Aye.
So, do we
It's so
have,
hard.
do we have everybody? I'm just, because I couldn't tell who was saying aye.
Should we do a roll call?
Let's do a roll call, so.
Yeah.
Herb?
We all said
Aye.
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 Okay. So, motion approved. I have a phone call set up for later today to let them know what was decided. And then what I will do is set up a meeting. We'll have to try to figure out, specifically with the downtown, with the, and I'll work with Jay and Adam to facilitate that. And we'll figure out where we go and how we proceed with it. I would like to, first off, say thank you to everybody, but also throw out there if there's anybody that would like to try to put together a toy drive, if we can get this all finally put together. Give me a call, give Adam a call, because I think it would be a great thing for the community.
Sure, I know you're trying to move on.
Of course you can talk.
Thanks. So thanks, I think that's gonna make the downtown look awesome this year and hopefully in future years. Only comment regarding the nativity and or sleigh, because I know you're potentially gonna be faced with that decision in the future. We did, the council did authorize the nativity scene to be placed. It's technically in the right-of-way portion of what used to be a road area, not the park. So sometimes it's known as Old Settlers Park, and that's not where the nativity scene is located. It's located in the right-of-way, so they're able to do it through grant of privilege, and it's a little different. They did it on a one-year annual review, so I know the Downtown Association has contacted me recently asking for, Anna has contacted me asking for that one-year review to come back to council. So that's in play. At the same time, you should also know that we didn't receive a challenge, there was no lawsuit filed, but we did have an inquiry from an attorney last year, I'll say throughout the holiday season. Provided him information, put him in contact with our city attorney. I talked to the individual a few times. It's not a threat or anything like that, I'm not trying to say that, but just putting it out there that that was real, that did happen, and I don't know if it's related or not. I don't know who the individual was working for or independent, but that is always a gray area anytime that a nativity scene is located on public land, even if it's in right away. So I share that. I know that from conversations with Mike, the group that he's been working with regarding potential donation of something big, has some concerns about the nativity scene, and then I'll just share it because Mike mentioned it. Adam and I are the ones that contacted Kirk Emmerich personally, and he checked with his team and responded back to us that he'd be happy to host the nativity scenes to give it a happy home downtown in the future if that's the decision that's made. Thanks.
Okay, my computer just went nuts.
And mine is on the previous meeting, so.
Yeah, so the next item on the agenda, can somebody tell me, because
You have
I think it's the
Riverwalk discussion and decision.
So what's the Riverwalk discussion, actually?
It is about future funding and future funding levels.
We just spent it all.
So cancel the Riverwalk.
Yeah,
So,
can't have it. Nope.
oh yeah, now I do remember this conversation. So the discussion was, Jay and I and Adam had a conversation about the 2020 operating plan, and then there was also discussion of possible future funding for the Riverwalk. I don't know if, Jay, you want to address any of that, or we just quickly go through this. There's money in we've had the money in that future account specifically earmarked for either the Riverwalk or the Main Street whenever that ultimately happens. In the conversation that Jay and I were having, I said, I could see potentially, going upwards of $100,000 out of that account for the Riverwalk. Jay looked at me and smiled and said, I would be more comfortable with 125. And now he's kind of backing down on me.
First he
So
upped
I think we need to, the city's looking for some feeling of where the bid's coming from, of what they're thinking about as far as funding for the Riverwalk going forward. Now, one thing that I think needs to be clarified probably by Ian, and I was thinking about this, is my understanding is we can't put money into something unless it's specifically to something. So with the Riverwalk, like if we said, hey, like we did the bridge for the east side where it was a specific piece, I'm not sure how that terminology works in state statute, but I'm assuming we could come up with, like, hey, we're going to do this park part area or this boat landing or whatever.
They can figure out something for.
They could figure out something for 100,000 that it would
Buy all
go
the
towards.
concrete or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, and I don't know if you're talking about naming rights as well, but certainly between Ian and myself, and we can figure it out to make the bid board legal with what the investment is. Thank you for the 50,000 investment on the Riverwalk East side. The results have produced nothing but positive comments. It's one of the few things that I get to work on as a bureaucrat within a governmental organization where I think universally people are excited about it. West Side planning has gone well, and so Mike, I'll just share. Most of you know, some of you I've met with personally because you're building owners on the Riverwalk West Side. But as we continue to design the Riverwalk West, we have been receiving positive comments about that as well. Can't wait till the West Side looks like the East Side. It'll be a little more complicated with all the utilities. If you walk back there recently, you've seen the spider web of orange and red lines where all the utility markings are. We're working with We Energies in particular. There will be a chase, like a 12-inch literal chaseway, where all the utilities in the future will run. So in the future, when you see things marked out, painted by the marking folks, it'll just be one line and where everything is located. That's future state. Current state's a disaster. Future state, we hope to have the utilities installed next year, as soon as 2020, and then the Riverwalk constructed 2021. So you have some time. I appreciate you putting this on the agenda for an initial conversation. I know, rewinding to the conversation of the $50,000 donation, there were some bid board members that were interested in contributing at a higher level. I think that's where the 100 or 125,000 conversation came from. The city would be very appreciative to whatever you come in at. We don't have that final estimate, although we've been meeting with the designer, SEH, and that number is going to come to us very soon. So we'll keep you posted.
What was the total number on the east side, Jake?
It was 2.6 million. The Riverwalk West is probably going to be higher than that.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea when this is gonna kick off?
2021.
Well, yeah, so utilities in 2020 and then construction in 2021. So for government, that's lightning speed. We're really pleased with that timeline.
And
Working hard to make it a reality.
could we commit so much annually?
Absolutely.
Or does it have to be a lump sum?
So, no, we have a couple options that we can do. I mean, we have that money in the future fund. We can take any or all of that. We can also take, and I would propose that they'd have to come to us with a proposal, but we could also, if they said, hey, we want you to do, I gotta be careful of the number I take, but number X, and we don't have it, we could say, all right, yeah, we want to do that, and raise the assessment with a sunset in it, and say, hey, we're going to raise the assessment by $1 or $2 or 50 cents or whatever it is for a specific period of time to fund that, and then the city would do a bond against that, and then we would pay that off for them. So there's a lot of options that can be done from our perspective of how we can help fund it.
What's the balance of our future fund?
Yep, you are at $243,242.56.
I personally would rather not raise the assessment.
I don't either. I'm just saying there's an option that you have that is available.
Ice cream with that.
They've got the money.
And we don't have to give them the money, we don't have to designate it now, I mean.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I think we should. I think that's what that money.
Right, and I guess I'm looking at it and saying, rather than come up with a number today, let's wait till they get their numbers back, and we see exactly where they're coming from and what the needs are, and then figure out what is the appropriate number. I mean, the number I'm hearing right now, I'd have no problem saying, let's take 125 of that and put it into the Riverwalk. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, if we wait until we have a better number from City Hall as to what the actual cost of it's gonna
Not
be.
sure that really matters when it's gonna probably exceed 4 million.
I
And
suppose.
Our contribution
Yeah,
is a
it's-
small portion. I think we could send a message right now.
Is that gonna change anything, whatever their number is?
Probably not.
You know,
Yeah.
No.
Okay, and somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion for 125,000 from our future funds project to support River West.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Oh, you're not there?
No, I think we already went to a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Spending the shit money today.
Next item is the 2020 budget.
When would we pay that?
Okay,
Not yeah, you didn't put that in your budget, in your motion.
I'm sorry, there was a pause, I thought you were done.
Okay, Adam, do you want to
sure.
present the?
Okay, so we met on the 2020 operating plan to bring to you. It is in your packet. I will also pull it up on the screen. The major difference that you'll see here is there was a change from
Can we get it up on the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Implementation of downtown recommendations has changed to marketing in the amount of $17,000.
So in the interest of time, I'm going to just say the marketing, I think we need to,
Oh, that's my
Um,
desktop. Sorry, we'll get there.
the only thing that I would like to see, I think the marketing needs to stay there, but I think we need to, as a group, need to establish a time frame that we accept proposals for that marketing dollars. So that we're just doing it one time and we have everybody that wants a piece of that $17,000 come in, present, and we give it out.
I don't think that's fair. I think that organizations have different events and fundraisers throughout the year, and they may not be prepared for it by January for a budget. And I think it was really nice that the ladies that came in and presented this year were able to do that, and we were able to support them, and I don't know that they would have known that at one time. I think it's an open fund. It's been open up to this point. We keep it there. If we have money left over at the end of a year, we can put it towards something else. But we should allow the community to be able to come in and ask us for funds if they need it for a worthy cause. Anyone else?
What was your reasoning, Mike, for wanting to get that?
My only fear is I just don't want to have, personally, people just all of a sudden, oh, let's just go to the bid and get money.
We're big people, we say no.
Okay,
I mean, let them make their proposals, that's what we're here for, to hear the public.
all right.
Just reading this, so we better incorporate 20 grand in here. Oh, we just agreed to today.
No, because that'll come out of this year's. It's going to come out of the Riverwalk.
Well, I mean, going forward.
Oh,
Is what I mean.
possibly.
Yeah. Net budget, that's our revenue.
So you got to add 15. We can just switch this around how we want to switch it later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Open to.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll remove my comment.
So are we simply
We're just
voting on this today?
We're just voting on that number right there, and then we can.
Well, what's,
We're
we're looking for a motion?
The 107,259.
Okay.
And that is our revenue.
That's our revenue coming in.
See,
As we've done in the past, we move this money around how we, obviously the Bridge 30, we can't move. There's 2 years left on that. We're in this, we got 2 years left, 2020 and 2021 for that.
So a motion to approve 107,259 for the operating plan for 2019.
No, 2020.
Excuse me.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last item is,
Filling a bid board seat.
yeah, we need to, what we really need is a secretary. And then we need to have a discussion with the mayor as to his thoughts of who he wants. And then we can have a further discussion at the next meeting of filling the vacant position.
Can I ask who the vacant seat is?
Oh,
Sorry,
I'm
Wayne
sorry.
stepped down last week.
Wayne sent us a
Okay.
letter on Thursday.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought people knew, okay.
No.
Yeah, Wayne has stepped down.
Okay.
So, Adam needs a secretary to sign some contracts for past things that happened that haven't been signed. So we need somebody to step up and be the secretary, which is nothing more than signing when we do like the downtown thing or the Diva group or whatever, is signing those documents. It's really all it entails. So,
Can I do that as vice president?
no,
Okay.
Do you want me to do that?
that's up to you.
Okay.
Throw your hat in the ring,
Sure.
okay? Anybody else? So,
It's an interim secretary.
it's an interim secretary till, yeah, it's gonna fulfill his term.
Need a
So,
motion.
I need a motion to approve him as a secretary.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're going to skip the additional items. If you have things that want to go on the next agenda, contact Adam, and we'll get them on. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mike, I will say, one agenda item going on next week, or next month, is the winter warm-up. They're talking about doing ice sculptures downtown, so we'll talk about that. But if you want to talk to them ahead of time, you can also. The Diva group, specifically Gina.
Quick comment on the secretary position before we decide on that. We have to come up with some names. Where are we at the DEO as far as applicants?
I've had about 5 conversations, no official application in, just one pulled out also, and, yeah.
So if you kindly serve as secretary for a period, we're not under any pressure to pick someone, because it might be kind of cool to have that person who is selected also be convinced that they should give back for what they're receiving and be in the bid board.
Oh,
It's a possibility, whoever that is, we just don't know yet. So that's not really progressing, so that's an option too. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.